bands make bad albums. Stick around to the end of the video because this list builds up to the worst albums by the best bands. Here's some perspective before we get into the list, the hot takes on my list. My top 20 bands of all time, they can do no wrong. Well, 4 of them can do wrong, and we'll get to them near the end of this video, but the majority of this list are made up of artists that are in my top 100 artists of all time. It's time to hear my stupid millennial take on bad albums by good bands. Let's
Coming
rock!
at number 20, we have Push and Shove by No Doubt. No Doubt is a band I discovered early through my parents listening to them, and a band with a consistent catalog of both albums and compilations. But more than a decade after Rocksteady and Gwen Stefani doing her own thing, Push and Shove was just awful. Gwen Stefani refers to the album as a bunch of accidents and mistakes. Ouch. Not what we wanted after 11 years gone. A tragic end to a great band. Number 19, Aerosmith. Music from Another Dimension. This one is worse than Push and Shove by universes. Although they do have a lot in common. 2012, the last album from a band on the brink. Aerosmith have a wildly sporadic discography, and I love a lot of what other music critics hate about Aerosmith. I enjoy the poppier stuff that they do, the more experimental stuff, more than their classics. Sorry, not sorry, but Music from Another Dimension is just some of the worst rock and roll I've ever heard, and I am indeed on a journey to hear every song ever recorded. And this is just, it's some of the worst. Number 18, Backspacer by Pearl Jam. Hey, we finally got a band that's still going strong in 2022. Rock and roll! Pearl Jam have a handful of records that don't really land for me, but this one is just completely forgettable from front to back. Use the backspacer for this one. For a point of reference about my personal feelings about Pearl Jam, Riot Act is my top Pearl Jam record, and I don't care. Number 17, Chuck by Sum 41. Up until Chuck, Sum 41 were one of the bands I thought could do no wrong, and this album is not pure garbage, but it just doesn't click with my ears. I love all their other records way more than this one. Just Chuck, I don't want to revisit Chuck. I know he was a nice guy. I know he saved the band from nuclear disaster, but man, the music should have been better. Number 16, Who Do You Trust by the Papa Roach. Now, with Papa Roach, I did have to compare and contrast a lot of albums to get the worst one, because it was pretty close. I couldn't stand The Connection when it came out, and I still hate it aside from one or two cuts. But Who Do You Trust pushes the suck so far, because not only does it try to copy Imagine Dragons, it's so badly done that it makes the worst Imagine Dragons album like Mozart in comparison. I do not trust Papa Roach after this album. Number 15, Silverball by the B&L. B&L were at one time my number one band, the greatest of all time. But starting with 2003's Everything to Everyone, followed by an abysmal smorgasbord of the dumbest compilations of all time, this band fell apart. While the four-piece B&L has climbed themselves back up out of that horrible hole in recent years, Silverball represents the worst that they have to offer, even worse than the Christmas album and the children's album, which is astounding. Number 14, a good band with a bad album, Songs of Innocence by U2. Comment your favorite U2 album below. My favorite U2 record is Rattle and Hum. I also like the Atom Bomb record, but my least favorite song by them is the one of Innocence. Bland, boring, borgettable, and brose. Number 13, Lucky 13, is Stone Sour with their debut album. I know I'm going to get some flack for this. This is an incredibly hot take because I know most of you guys think the first one was the best. I remember downloading Stone Sour on a totally legit website back in the early 2000s, hearing how great that Corey Taylor's new band was. And while I kept giving Stone Sour a chance and found later albums pretty darn good, this debut just disgusted me. Bother's okay, but the rest doesn't move me 1 inch. Number 12, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Freaky Styley. You guys watch Finn McKenty, the punk rock NBA? He and I have the exact opposite opinion of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. He only likes the early stuff, and I only like 1999 to present Red Hot Chili Peppers. Freaky Styley is gibberish, both musically and lyrically. There's no music to be found on this thing. And Peppers fans, if you like Freaky Styley, good for you. You're a different human being than I am. Number 11, Alkaline Trio's This Addiction. I have a weird relationship with Alkaline Trio. Usually when I love a band as much as I love these three guys, I'm all in. Every single note, beginning to end. But not with Alkaline Trio. They have 2 albums that are mind-blowing masterpieces for me, and then the rest of their catalog is good to middling, but just can't live up to the stupid heights of Crimson or Good Morning. I had some issues with Agony and Irony, but I thought that it was just because there was no way to top what came before it with Crimson. When This Addiction came out, I realized that this was a band that I was going to super fan out over just a portion of their work and not particularly care about the rest. And that's okay. Like I said, Good Morning and Crimson are 2 of the greatest records ever made. So, way to go, Alkaline Trio. But This Addiction is bad. Addiction is really bad. Don't get addicted to stuff. Number 10, Sway by Blue October. Blue October felt like they were a huge band that I was the only one that liked them. Hate Me got me hooked like everyone else on the planet, but I started digging into their catalog early, and it was all great. I loved Blue October so much that I even bought their live albums and their more rare releases and EPs. All of it was fantastic. They had a stretch from 1998 to 2011 where everything they did was a one-of-a-kind, dark, twisted rabbit hole of fun and rock and roll. And then something changed. The band and Justin Lyric lost all of their teeth, their bite. I don't mind happy rock and roll, but Sway was just happy only in lyrics. The music was slowed down to a minimalist instrumentation, almost nothing to listen to. Sway is so stripped down that it may as well be silence. I'm so glad that Justin overcame his depression and addictions, but I would have loved a big rock and roll album celebrating those things because those are beautiful things, but instead we got a snoozy record. Blue October have made strides to improve this over their last 3 records and have a double album coming out soon, so I look forward to hearing what that's about. Better stuff, hopefully. Number 9! One by One by the Foo Fighters. You know, I almost took this one off the list. It's gotten better with age, but it's still my least favorite Foo Fighters record by a mile. It does have some standout tracks. It features Times Like These and Come Back. But aside from that, it's cruddy buddy fuddy. I can't end the Foo Fighters conversation there though, because right around the filming of this video, I'm still very deeply affected by the Taylor Hawkins tribute concert that just aired. While I wasn't crazy about One by One, Taylor Hawkins was and still is a legend among legends. Find yourself a good 6 or 7 hours after this video and watch that Taylor Hawkins tribute concert. It is a gift from above. Number 8, we're going to kind of breeze right through because it's just really freaking awful. The High End of Low from Brian Warner. I really like Brian Warner's music, but this record is forgettable, boring, and the low end of the low end. What the crap, Brian? Have Kanye produce your next record. Number 7, The Gorillaz with The Fall. I thought I was going to love The Fall, this record. It was advertised as sort of a 2D solo project, one that didn't utilize the rest of the band that much, but instead an iPad. It was created exclusively on an iPad, and this record just didn't utilize that technology the way it should have. There's almost nothing of note to listen to or to return to. It's the worst of the Gorillaz. Number 6. Oh, this is possibly the worst record on the list. Youth Authority by Good Charlotte. Good Charlotte are my 22nd favorite band, and I love 63.04% of their entire catalog, but they have put out some of the most offensively bad music I've ever heard in my life. With their Greatest Remixes compilation and this atrocity called Youth Authority. The music is pure trash. The lyrics are the same. They're straight up nonsense gibberish bull honky. I have nothing good to say about Youth Authority. It is one of the worst sounding records in all of history. Sorry, Tickets to My Downfall by Machine Gun Kelly, but this one might just have you beat for worst pop punk record of all time. Oh my lord. Now we're in my top 5 bad albums by good bands. Revelations by Audioslave. I recall a conversation with coworkers about Audioslave. We were all poor guitarists working at Walmart back then, and the dude was talking about the massive drop in quality from one Audioslave record to the next. And while I think that Out of Exile holds up to the debut pretty evenly, even I saw the cracks in Revelations. Whatever. That third Audioslave record, no good. Number 4. Now we are into the bands that are actually in my top 20 artists. These are the really great bands, the cream of the crop. Welcome to the Drama Club by Everclear. Everclear lost 2 out of their 3 band members after a messy promotion of Slow Motion Daydream, and Art Alakakis quickly assembled a new, larger version of the band with different musicians to back him up in his quest to write the saddest pop punk or pop rock tunes you've ever heard. Art Alakakis has stated that he is the sole writer of everything Everclear related, but I do feel like the bigger and newer version of the band weren't allowed to cultivate enough chemistry before recording Welcome to the Drama Club, which is a dreary and forgettable affair from a band that otherwise rocks my socks off with every note they've ever recorded, except for the odd dud from Volume 2 from 2000. Number 3, Weezer, Pacific Daydream. Okay, so you guys hate multiple Weezer records. I only hate 2, okay? While I love me some Red and Ratitude, Weezer got some bad music. And as for the bad, the Black Album disappoints. Yes, but upon my first several listens, Pacific Daydream physically made me sick. Weezer and Hinder are the only rock bands to have ever done this to me, and it's a pretty nasty feeling, and I've done chemotherapy. While my hatred has eased off of Pacific Daydream in recent years, it's still at the bottom of the Weezer pile for me, the bottom of the barrel. I would suggest you take Get it right off this album and put it in a playlist, because you don't ever want to listen to anything else on this Weezer record. It will make you vomit. It'll make you nearly black out from pain. It is really freaking rough. Please, gosh, Weezer. Anything but Pacific Daydream. I'm getting sick just thinking about it. Number 2. This one, Kid Rock's Rebel Soul. There's a lot to hate about Kid Rock, but he makes some darn good rock and roll. Rebel Soul, however, is just redneck trash juice trying to squeeze a lemon out of some just horrendous fake soul music, and I don't like it one bit. It is really trashy garbage. Goodbye, Kid Rock. That was not Rebel Soul. It was not real, and I did not feel it. I'm not apologizing. Kid Rock's not apologizing to me. It's horrendous. Number 1, the worst album by the best band. I don't know if this is a hot take or not. I've heard some other people criticize it. Shinedown with Leave a Whisper. Shinedown are my 10th favorite band of all time, hitting a perfect stride starting with The Sound of Madness in 2008. Their first 2 records are kind of, I'd say, literal hit or misses. The singles were great. They were big hit singles, and they were amazing. And the rest of the record, the first 2, just background noise. Background booyah. Us and Them had some better singles, and if Leave a Whisper hadn't altered and reissued itself with the cover of Simple Man, I don't think their debut album would have really done anything. I know 45 was kind of a hit, but I think that without the Simple Man cover, I think that Shinedown would have kind of fizzled out or not been as huge as they are.